Think about grading assignments, particularly papers and projects. How do you usually do this? Do you have criteria in front of you to measure the student work against? Is each submission assessed the same way? Do you handwrite or type feedback, or just mark a grade? How many hours does it take you to grade and mark up 30 essays? If your answer is too long, then it's time to look at rubrics. A rubric is a tool that outlines the component parts of an assignment and specifies the quality of those components. All of the potential constructive feedback that can be given to the learners is developed in advance of assigning the work to the students. The rubric can then be used by the learners to self-check their progress on the assignment. It can be used by the instructor to give formative feedback, and it can be used to evaluate the quality of the final product. So what does a rubric look like? It usually looks like a table. The rows label the criteria or dimensions of the assignment, while the columns describe the quality of the work. Each cell in the table includes a specific description of the dimension at a particular performance level. Let's look at a rubric. This is a rubric from the Teaching Excellence Center at Carnegie Mellon University. It is used to assess the quality of discussion and participation. The components of class discussion that are assessed include conduct, ownership or leadership, reasoning, listening, and reading. In each of these areas, students are assessed as sophisticated, competent, not yet competent, or unacceptable. For example, a student who is competent in the area of conduct would fit the description in this box. Student shows respect for members of the class and for the method of shared inquiry and peer discussion. Participates regularly in the discussion but occasionally has difficulty accepting challenges to his or her ideas or maintaining respectful attitude when challenging others' ideas. If the student is sophisticated in the reasoning dimension, the instructor would mark this section. Arguments or positions are reasonable and supported with evidence from the readings. Often deepens the conversation by going beyond the text, recognizing implications and extensions of the text. Provides analysis of complex ideas that help deepen the inquiry and further the conversation. This rubric could be used at the beginning of the semester to clarify the expectations for participation in class discussion. By discussing this rubric together as a class, students have an opportunity to ask clarifying questions about the expected actions. For instance, in the ownership domain, a student might not have ever thought about how to maintain the flow and quality of discussion. Now there is an opportunity to discuss learning strategies and develop metacognition in the learners. This rubric could also be used throughout the semester for the instructor to provide ongoing formative feedback to the learner about the quality of their classroom participation. Keeping track of where the learner falls at various points throughout the semester provides an opportunity for the student to see their growth and maturity. Finally, the rubric can be used to evaluate the performance of the student in class discussions as a component of a final grade. In this case, the instructor would recall participation as a whole throughout the semester and provide a summative assessment of their proficiency. There are many resources available online to find rubrics that have already been developed, and it is a good idea to look at samples before you get started developing your own. The quality of rubrics available online also vary, so the buyer must beware. Some sites to begin your search include Rubistar, iRubric, and For All Rubrics. Let's look at the steps involved with developing your own rubrics. Stevens and Levi outline 4 stages in Introduction to Rubrics, an assessment tool to save grading time, convey effective feedback, and promote student learning. Stage 1 is reflecting. Think about the overall objectives for the class, the purpose for the assignment, and the student's prior knowledge. With an assignment in mind, answer these 8 questions. Why did you create the assignment? Have you given the assignment before? How does it relate to the rest of what you are teaching? What skills will students need to have to complete it? Does it break down into a variety of different tasks? What kinds of evidence might students use to demonstrate their knowledge and skills? What does an exemplary product look like? What does the worst fulfillment of the assignment look like? Answering these questions will help you in Stage 2, listing. Think about the specific learning objectives that will be completed with this assignment. List them. Describe the highest expectation for each of them. Stage 3 is grouping and labeling. Group related performance expectations based on skills. Then go ahead and label them, such as organization, context, analysis, presentation, or mechanics. The final stage is application. Here, we apply our dimensions and descriptions from the Stage 3 to the rubric grid. There are several ways of accomplishing this last step. First, you'll need to decide on a number of columns or gradations of quality. You can use traditional column titles like exceeds expectations, meets expectations, partially meets, or does not meet, or you can go for something more creative like novice, amateur, apprentice, journeyman, or trike, 10-speed, moped, and motorcycle. The number of columns is up to you. Most people use 3 to 5, while some complete descriptions for only the column that meets expectations. When you've completed developing your rubric, it's time to put it into action. If you would like to learn more about developing and using rubrics, check out Stevens and Levi's book, Introduction to Rubrics, or contact an instructional designer at University College.